Hello there, and welcome to the Spider Power Spider Podcast with your spider host, Sam. It's time to talk about clearly the greatest hero ever, Spider-Man. It started off back in 1962 when Stan Lee, having succeeded with the Fantastic Four, decided to create a new hero. But the one thing he knew, he had to cling to walls. Initially, he thought might make it a fly man. And Steve Ditko came along and helped him realize only he likes flies.
Sam, you won't believe what happened. Did I miss the podcast?
Am I on? Like, I was locked out of my computer and out of my room.
Alex?
What happened?
I mean, yeah, guys, we're talking about Power Podcast today. That's what we're doing.
Were you recording without us?
No.
On my OBS.
I was waiting for you guys. No.
Is that why you needed our passwords and usernames?
No, I need those for completely different reasons. Reasons that are good. That I will tell you.
Anyway.
Moving on very swiftly as I change my passwords. Welcome back to the Power Podcast with your hosts, Joe, Alex, and Sam. Today, we're going to talk about spider physiology and the powers of spider. This is definitely not because a certain person of spider persuasion has no way to get back to a place that he would call his house or something similar to that. It's definitely not on the screen right now. Now that I've messed this intro up, we can continue. So,
exactly, it's clearly about Tarantula, the 1980s superhero.
Let's obviously ask the silly question here. Did you guys watch the newest Spider-Man trailer? The one that just got, quote-unquote, leaked.
I couldn't, stop. It's everywhere. Everyone's gone Spider-Man.
Hell yeah, I did. I love Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Are you kidding? That's my favourite series. What? The first film is my favourite movie. Of course I'm going to watch it when we see, spoilers, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, and maybe Willem Dafoe.
Maybe Willem Dafoe. I
don't know who that voice is. I couldn't place it.
It could be Willem Dafoe. I hope it is. I mean, obviously we know Doc Ock is coming back. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it. I don't know if you have come here without seeing it, because I mean, this is a podcast about a bundle of nerds talking about powers, and literally this is one of the biggest things in nerd culture right now. As of recording this, we might have recorded this a little later than most people would have, but here you go. It's a podcast that we do weekly. We're not going to do something earlier. Early.
Quiet effort.
Let's be honest, Joe. The trailer's probably been seen more than Raid Shadow Legends advertisements by now.
I'm still waiting, Raid Shadow Legends. I will sell so much of my dignity just to
we
promote
will shill like crazy. We don't have standards.
So yeah, so I have so many questions about this, that of which that we'll have to go into throughout this podcast, because obviously can't talk about this power without talking about Spider-Man, but let's kick it off. First of all, we're talking about spider physiology. Most of you might know what this is, but just here's a quick cap. There are 3 different types of spider physiology. Number 1 is your person is actually a spider / can turn into a spider. Spider physiology just basically means the anatomy of a spider / the physiological being of a spider. If it is a superpower, it either means your power is to turn into it, merge half human, half spider, or that your physiology has been boosted with special spider features, which we will get into soon. First of all, let's just go off with the obvious one. Would you like to turn into a spider if you got the ability of only one superpower?
Oh, this is going to be an interesting one, especially for Sam, because I know something about Sam.
Arachnophobic Sam.
I am also arachnophobic, but yes, continue.
Become the very object of his fear.
You know, every time you look in a mirror, it's like, kill me!
Giant spider! Oh no. Yeah, but I know what would happen if I did it. I'd look in the mirror at myself, go, "Oh, giant spider," and immediately be freaked out. And then later on, I'd be crawling around and go, "Hey, Siobhan, see how cool this is," and immediately I'm just dead because she just squashes me with a newspaper.
This is the problem, because, like, I actually don't mind I'm probably the only person on this podcast that's actually just kind of okay with spiders. If spiders are, like, bigger than, say, my hand, then we have, an issue. All right? But little teeny weeny spiders, I don't particularly mind that much. I wouldn't mind turning into one, but, like, why would I turn into something where pretty much the majority of the population wants to die? It's like I'm instantly at a disadvantage because I'm small, I can be squished, and people want to squish me.
I mean, I will say this. It is the perfect suicidal power. Because then you technically aren't killing yourself. Because all you do is turn into a spider, run into an arachnophobic's house, and just wait to be squished. And then there you go. Sweet release of death.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's sounds written in the chat. I mean, I'd feel really bad if I vacuumed you up. Aw. That's nice. You feel bad before killing us. That's nice.
Yeah. I have to be honest, this is going to sound really dark. I always feel bad whenever I kill a spider, but only after. Like, immediately after. I'm just like, get away! Oh, man.
Yeah.
He's just so dead.
I feel bad, too, because it's not that I hate spiders. I don't. I know that they're very useful creatures, because they kill flies and various other insects that are more annoying. But they're too afraid to not kill them.
Yes.
To not make them disappear. I wish I wasn't afraid of spiders.
Same.
I know they're good. Let's get that spider bigotry out of here.
Yeah.
Before we continue, we don't hate spiders. We're just deeply afraid and mistrustful of spiders.
And that's why you can't come in.
And that's why you can't come into my house. It's the funny thing is that, like, there's so many obviously problems with having fears of creatures, is because that you can't easily avoid something that is on this earth, because you technically share a planet with it. At some point, you very well at least have a 1% chance of coming in contact with it. And if it's a spider of any size or proportion, you're gonna see at least a few of them in your lifetime, even if you're only living to a few years, which
because they absolutely love piles of clothes as well in my house as well. They're attracted to it, like, so it's like it's unavoidable, because we've got piles of clothes for just a laundry basket. There's at least like 2 spiders in there.
Hot tip from an arachnophobic.
Oh, they freaking love the bath.
Hot tip from an arachnophobic: if you never want one to be crawling on you after a shower, shake your towel furiously before you put it on.
Yes.
I have had one crawling on
fire.
me. Well, I was almost fully finished drying, and immediately I feel like I was thinking, that's weird. I've still got maybe like a drop on my back. That's weird. It's actually going up my back. And then I look in the mirror, and there's one crawling over my shoulder, and I lose my shit.
Oh, that's not good. I mean,
that's nightmare fuel.
Yep.
The thing about spiders, which is, it's horrible, because, like, spider physiology, I think, would be good if you were just still normal human sized. If you actually had, like, the size and the intelligence of a spider, I would just die in the bath. Like, literally, spiders are so stupid in my house. It's just, they fall in the bath. I take them out of the bath because I'm nice. I put them, outside of the bath. Immediately, next day, back in the bath. They love that bath. What is in there? Crack cocaine? I don't know. They love the bath, and they want to die in there and annoy me.
I think we now know the reason as to why. You've kind of given it away. Is there crack cocaine in your bath? Should we be concerned,
I will
Alex?
neither confirm nor deny what is in my bath.
There's one way, and only one way, I think I would maybe go for spider physiology in that regard. Only one way. This is based on a character that is part of the Spider-Man universe. It's not the villain one I'm talking about. There is a man called Spiders Man.
Oh yes,
which is an alternate universe version of Spider-Man. Instead of becoming gaining the powers of a spider, instead becomes a pile of spiders. The body changes into just a whole bunch of spiders. but with the intelligence of Peter Parker. They all like form into like one being of like this one being of a wrath of spiders.
See, I didn't know that was an actual thing, and that's a very good point. Multi-transformation of like a swarm. That's cool.
I mean, admittedly, he does eat people. I think because he does mention at one point looking at one of like the spider kids and say like talking about how it's disgusting that people eat people, and then saying, he looks like he might taste like veal. Oh, sweet, delicious spiders, man.
So, there's that one. Then there's obviously the hybrid physiology type, which is man-spider, as we've seen before, whereas they look like basically a spider that walks on two legs, sometimes having a larger physical form, like extra strong muscles, maybe a few extra limbs, a big scary tarantula-like face, and multiple eyes. Yeah, I have to be honest, unless if I could turn back into my human form, I wouldn't want this one. I mean, we're talking about turning into a spider and worried about people killing us. If I suddenly looked like that when you came over my house, you'd immediately be like, what have you done to Joe, and how do I kill you as fast as possible?
You would already be on fire, Joe.
I
I would just set you on fire.
And quite frankly,
yeah.
I would welcome it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know because, I have, personally, no, because, I have enough, body issues anyway. I don't want, multiple eyes and furry limbs, thank you very much. But it's I can see why you would want to, because, you're always in that form where if you want people to stay away from you and, have the capability of biting people's heads off whenever you want.
Technically, I already have multiple eyes and hairy limbs, so I mean,
yeah, but even more so to the ninth degree.
For those of you who don't know, I do have a large beard at the moment due to many reasons. I mean, summer has just gone swimmingly for me, as you can definitely tell. But most people have multiple limbs that are hairy. And
yeah, but even more so, coming out of your stomach.
Yeah, no, I know. I just thought I'd nitpick. Cool. Anyway, no,
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, if you're already hairy and scary, then it's not going to be much of a problem for you.
I mean, to be fair, I think the giant spider fangs coming out of my cheeks might actually be a bit of a turn off, but
I don't know. There's a market for that on the internet. I can tell you.
I don't wanna be a fetish on the internet.
I would only do it if it was like were spiders, or you've got just the normal form, but you're just you're human, but maybe with a slight tinge of spider, you're just hairier and you're slightly thinner.
I would do it I would do it regardless of how much of it was, as long as I A, kept my intelligence, and B, had the ability to turn back. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could change back instantly without if I change back, I could just make sure never to look in a mirror when I change.
I'd probably be too curious not to, but at the same time, the other thing is that I'd just be more concerned of how do I turn back.
Because I wouldn't want it to be like Man Spider in at least the cartoon. I think it's also in the comics, where he has no intelligence per se. It's just it's just animal instinct.
Yeah, just a giant animal creature that's roughly and relatively shaped like a human.
Yeah,
that would be a living nightmare. I mean, you practically lose your humanity, and potentially that is pretty much the human part of that dead, almost.
Depending on the continuity, it's even worse because either he's going to realize these are their friends and not kill them, or he's going to have vague memories of your friends and family, and distinctly go there to put them into cocoons and eat them.
Yay.
Yeah, although that's really bad. Yeah, when you just
Oh.
vaguely do it and you're just acting on pure instinct, that would be my living nightmare, where you're acting on instinct, you're just sort of you know what you're doing is wrong, but you can't fight it because it's your instinct that's kicked in. That's the part of yourself. It's it has to work. You have to feed, and it's just no, thank you.
Worse Worse would be that horror movie Spider-Man where you use them for, like, I don't want to say breeding, but you insert spiders into them, like
So for
baby eggs into
breeding,
them.
Yeah.
that's breeding. Don't dance around that. It's breeding.
Parasitic breeding.
Not in any kind of sexual way, but like you bite into them and your bite implants eggs into them, like
Oh,
into
it's
like.
like so
So it's just like
infection,
thought.
basically.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
I must
happened.
say, look,
That happened in the comics.
furries. If correct me if I'm wrong, but are there any actual spider furries out there? Because I have a feeling that because of the nature of spiders, like other than Spider-Man, who doesn't look like a spider at all, but like has some of the spider powers, I don't think that many people would go for that. Because it's like, it is kind of an. It's not like transforming into a wolf where you're still like a big dog and stuff. You're like sort of alien and weird. Correct me if I'm wrong though. I'm sure on the internet
I
there are
mean,
some people who like think, yeah, hell yeah, that's my jam.
Before the internet, I
And
never believed
think of
that
it-
anyone wanted to bang a dog. And now, thanks to
thing is,
furries,
though-
I no longer have the will to live. Sorry, what were you talking
Mate,
about?
Imagine all 8 arms though just gently caressing you. The 8
No.
arms on every bit of your body, just like
Moving on,
gently
the
sucking.
next part
Yeah.
No.
is the spider.
No, I won't imagine
The
that.
spider
Imagine that,
physiological.
Samantha.
Next part is the
Imagine
spider
that.
physiological enhancements, which are basically all of the bonuses that make them different from us, but then sized up. For instance, the small, thin, urticating hairs that can actually allow them to stick to walls. In other words, the ability to cling to walls. The ability to shoot out webs, hopefully from either biological web shooters or somehow knowing the exact way to make actual webs.
Can I tell you about that?
We'll talk about that later. And also just specifically super strength and super agility, because spiders are pretty damn fast and they are relatively strong. Not as strong as ants are based on their size, but they are relatively strong. Also, they can squish their body pretty well because they can fit in very thin gaps despite their body size. Now, you probably couldn't do this with a human, but the other particular ones that we do see are super strength and, super strength.
Super durability
ability
and
I don't know,
agility.
it really depends on the continuity again, because like sometimes you can have it where like they can tank a couple bullets, and others like basically they could get a paper cut. It really, really depends in what continuity. I'm mostly talking about the main ones that we see, which is the super strength, the clinging to walls, and maybe sometimes the super agility, super jumping, which to be fair, honestly, comes from the super strength, and then of course the web shooting abilities. I think we should actually tackle this now. Personally, I think that if you did have biological web shooting capabilities, it makes obvious sense that it doesn't come from your hands. But let's be honest, it would be 100% better if it came from your hands.
Yeah,
I
rather
mean-
than other orifices.
I mean, sure, to explain that, it's because it's not their ass, it's their web sack.
Yes, no,
If they keep
yeah,
the-
exactly. But like,
If a human were to have that, it would be more or less a protrusion from their back,
Exactly,
like a
yeah,
wall, like almost as if they were like a wall.
But it still looks like you're shitting web, though. This is
Yeah.
the problem. Like, like say, hey guys, you just imagine me dangling down with my website, and it's like, guys, this isn't coming from my butt. All right, just to
Yeah.
this
also,
is not
also
my
it's
ass.
just a
This is my web
giant,
sack.
like giant hump that is either coming out of where your tailbone is, or coming out of like roughly halfway up your back, or should I say halfway down your lower back. And either way, that is a disturbing image without the webs coming out of it. So
Just
it, like,
which
can
is
we
why
all-
I think they went for. Which is why I think they went for like not non-organic web shooters
Yes,
initially,
yeah.
because at the very least they could say, "Oh, it's because like he's like it's not because he's sugared out of his arm. It's because he's got a device."
I will say I
Which-
do prefer physiological ones just because of the
Organic.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Organic web shooters. Only for one reason, is because it makes sense And it also kind of roughly makes sense to some degree in a couple of different ways.
To be honest, the cartoon, I think, explained it best for me in the reasoning why he makes synthetic, not like mechanical web shooters. Because the spider bite gave him the knowledge of the chemical formula to make web on an like instinctive level, which I think is more cooler than him actually just having the ability to shoot webs from his arms, because it adds this another layer of like alienness.
Yeah.
Because it's like it imparts knowledge, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, a relative level of instinctive knowledge. Yeah, I mean that's why I brought it up a minute ago, because I mean, like, again, it's just a brilliant thing. Sorry, Alex, go on.
That makes sense with the Spidey sense. Actually, that makes more sense with the Spidey sense stuff, because it's the instinct that's kind of like whenever like something bad is going to happen, it's just the instinct kicks in. So it like if it's based on that, it's like okay, yeah, it does impart all of that knowledge on you, and it's on a sort of instinctive level, and it's like it doesn't come out. It's not like just grabbing it out of nowhere. It's like there are other powers that relate to that too, which is I just find it kind of cool. I also like the Spidey sense in general, if just because you can just go spider sense.
I mean, I love spider sense. I don't think spiders actually have that.
I think it's something to do with they have the ability to sense tremors in their own webs as well as through their own bodies on the grounds that they're standing on due to their hairs sticking to different things. It's basically vibrations, and it allows them to move. Basically, if say, for instance, if they can't see behind them and something drops behind them or something's about to, stand or go behind them, they just immediately run fast because they sense the vibrations, and based on the level of vibrations, they can tell, oh, damn, it's bigger than me, it's stronger than me, it's heavier than me, or this thing is about to fall on me, and they just run instinctively.
Can you tell that to my spiders, because they run towards vibrations, which is why I try and kick them out of the way, and they run towards me.
Half of it is also part of their hunting instincts. This is why I said with their webs, because they sense vibrations on their webs and immediately go for whatever is on their web, even if they can't see it straight away. And this is the problem. Some of them are idiots and therefore just go straight to whatever is the big thing.
You have to say though, Spider Sense, I think, makes him one of the more unique characters, considering his move set. Yeah, I think more or less he's just one of the many characters. I have super strength and I can leap about. Whereas other characters, I've got super strength, I can leap about. It's just like Spiderman in the background, turns his head. I sense danger.
Well, it's one of the reasons why they see a lot of different characters in a lot of different shows having some kind of special sensing abilities. You see it a lot in anime, but you also see it a couple of times in certain movies about certain characters having a secondary sensory ability, I can see perfectly in the dark, or I can hear anything from up to 100 miles away, or something like that. It's having a secondary ability where it doesn't show massive physical capabilities, but instead it actually is you can't trick them, or you can't sneak up on them, or the one thing that you thought you had as a defense is the main thing. It's one of the reasons why people love the Bane quote, "You thought darkness was your ally, I was born in it, I was molded by it." And it's that exact thing of that whole concept of, because Spider-Man has a secondary sensory ability, he has one thing above every other opponent that he will ever face. He has the ability to notify and sense danger. Now, obviously, that it isn't perfect, because there are certain people that are not, affected by it, either due to pheromones, which, again, certain spiders have the ability to sense pheromones as well as vibrations. That's another particular reason as to what it could be. And therefore it could actually just be a certain type of vibration that might not be specific to, how he is. I mean, one particular thing they did with the symbiote is that he can't sense the symbiote because that it was a part of him or something.
Yeah, because his senses view him as an ally, as a friend,
Yes, yeah.
more or less. Like this. It's the same way. Some of like there was a comic book where he went to like his aunt's house and Aunt May just straight up bashed him over the head with a kettle, and he didn't sense it because he doesn't think of Aunt May as any kind of danger.
Yeah, yeah.
Like some of his allies can just straight up sneak up on him, which is one of the kind of things that also kind of screw him over at times.
No,
Or
absolutely.
it's the reverse, where he gets like senses, but it actually is crippling, like almost like the worst headache ever, which has happened as well. Is a spire sense blares to the point of actually almost incapacitating him.
Oh
Yeah,
god, it's like an
If the
anxiety
danger,
attack.
it is.
It's like
I mean, they
yeah.
make a joke in Robot Chicken about it actually being that like he keeps sensing danger, and it turns out that like this thing is like
yeah.
a result from the radiation. It's actually a tumor, and it's affecting all of your different senses, and it's just going off whenever there is or isn't danger. And obviously they make the joke of, oh, I want it to remove you. No, I want it to be removed. It could possibly kill you. I don't care. Just do it anyway. And obviously they go, R.I.P. Spider-Man. But
I meant more like if it's like very dangerous threats as opposed to very minor threats.
yeah.
Like in the Ultimate Universe, as opposed to him not being able to sense Venom, he more or less becomes almost like to the point of almost collapsing whenever Venom comes near him. That it's so painful just having him near him.
Jeez.
I would freaking
That's-
hate that. That would just yeah. If that was part of the spider powers, it's like yeah. If it was cool, yeah. I mean, it's cool because you'll be able to like dodge out the way of cars. But like if you're in like a dangerous situation all of the time, like Spider-Man, yeah, you've just incapacitated yourself. Like you've become
Which
like an actual spider curling up in like
The ability of danger
in the-
sense is kind of interesting as well because it's actually recently been introduced to a series that I'm not going to talk about today. But recently, this character discovered that they had the ability to sense danger, and it literally happens to him like that. There's a sharp, piercing feeling in his head. Whenever he gets it, and the pain is stronger the more threat it is to him, either based on the amount of knowledge he has of it, or based on the amount of power, pressure, or speciality that the specific power user or character or being is towards him. For instance, this character is fighting against a very strong opponent, and therefore he gets a splitting headache until he can control the danger sense. However, other times, which we've seen in certain Spider-Man comics and TV shows, which has also been shown in this show that I'm not going to mention, he actually uses it to predict where the attacks are going to be coming from. So he predicts his opponent's attacks because he does or doesn't sense danger within a very close proximity to him as well as within a long-range distance. So Spider-Man has been able to do this a couple times as well to predict when an opponent is attacking him. But as he said, it can sometimes completely mess him up.
It's usually very like to detect illusions as well. Because
Yes.
quite a few times with Mysterio, it's like, oh, there's 7 of us, but which one of us is the real one? And they're all
It's
holding
you.
guns. It's like, but which one of them is the real one? As they all speak at once, and he's like, "God, trust my sixth instinct, leap, kick," and then he hits the right one, of course, because his instincts kick in.
Exactly.
And it does depend on continuity, because in the movies, I don't think they show it in like the later movies, but in like the original movies, it's not so much that he like has a headache; it's just the time seems to slow down. I think, where danger is
like
near,
that. Yeah, something like that.
like more or less his body speeds up and he like can sense it.
Funnily enough, in the current Marvel Studios version of Spider-Man, they actually have only specifically stated it as a quote-unquote Peter tingle, and they actually do state that it's more of a vague sense he gets. And that's about all of the information that we're given, but it's obviously like it's the Spidey sense, but they're trying to make it sound as relatively not silly as possible. So, with that being said, we have pretty much said all of the different ones, but I think it's now time to actually talk about one very specific thing in all of this.
Thing.
Obviously, we talked about super strength. Obviously, we talked about wall clinging. Obviously, we talked about organic or not organic web shooting, and obviously we've talked about the Spidey sense. There's a ton of other special abilities that could come from it. I was actually going to ask both of you to a question, but I'm actually going to ask you separate questions. Sam, if you could have the ability to cling to walls, but you had to have all these really creepy little hairs throughout your body, would you have it?
How much? Like, how creepy and how small are we talking about?
It'd be like tiny little cactus pines all over your body.
Okay, it's not really helping. Like, are they like the size of cacti?
No,
Or
like
like
cactus spines. You know, like the little tiny, like bricks out of them.
That
Little spiky
size?
bit.
Yeah.
No.
And Alex, would you have organic web shooters, but the organic web shooter itself has to come from your back?
Fuck. Oh god. Oh. Because it would be so cool, but at the same time, it's like, again, I've already said, and have the promise, like, it's not. No, can you not look at my hump, please?
No.
Like,
There's
please,
no
my
hump,
eyes are
but
here.
you have to do a really weird gesturing motion with both your shoulders.
Oh man! So I get all the powers, but I look so uncool while doing it.
Yeah.
Like just, oh man. Oh, here comes Captain Cringe.
Also, another problem is that due to the strength of which the spider shot comes out, you might actually you might blow a hole in the back of whatever you're currently wearing if you accidentally do it outside of.
Oh man, this is not fair. Oh, I don't know, because it would be so. You know what? I'm gonna have to say no, because I would love to do web shooting, but at the same time, it's like, no, that's just a list of inconveniences. I couldn't do it. No.
Sam, what did you have to say? You had anything else that you wanted to add about this before we move on?
I did want to talk about organic web shooting.
Yeah, go on.
Because there's a power in the game Spiderman does not have, but another spider-based heroine in his universe does have.
Okay, go on.
Which is the power to manipulate webs to make various objects.
I knew you were going to bring this up. Yes.
Like, so, because in this game, if you so chose, there is a perk that allows you to make like swords and armor and clothing out of your webs, like just coming straight out of your arm, just a blade made of web. And there is a character.
Real cool.
I think she's called Spinneret. I think she's something. She also got bit by the radioactive spider and is the bride or some crap that they made up later on in the comics. More or less, whenever she's near Spider-Man, she really wants to kind of get with him. Because reasons. But no, she has the power to make out of her webs, to the point that her costume looks like just a normal costume, like it looks like different like fabric, but it's actually made of her webs, and she can make various different colored webs. Like, she can make anything she wants, more or less, out of her webs, as long as it's somewhat fabric-y.
I'm just having a look at Spinneret. Is that Mary Jane in another universe or something?
I don't think it's. I can't remember what she's called now. I'd have to.
She's kind of like. I know that there's a webcomic called that had Spinneret, which is sort of similar, but she only had like the multiple arms.
Cindy Moon.
Cindy Moon, right? Cindy Moon.
What's her super heroine name called again? Cindy Moon. Silk. That's her name. Silk.
Silk.
I knew, to be honest, there's so many of them now. I forget, because I know there's like Arachne.
Yes, because she wears her entire costume in one particular set of things. Her entire costume is just made out of her own webs.
Yeah. Or, although Spider-Woman, one of them isn't actually spider-based because her power is like psychometry. She makes her webs with like her mind.
Okay.
Which is funny.
It's just branding.
Yeah.
They all got a brand, be a part of the Spider franchise.
Well, the funny thing is, it's funny that you bring it up in based on the game, because like in Animite Tales we actually do have that for a particular reason. I actually didn't get it from the comics. I actually got it from Naruto, because there's actually a character who's called I think it's called Kidamaru, and basically he has 6 arms, and later on you find out that he has like a third eye, and like one of his main thing is that he's got like spider-like powers, and he has like spider-like magic, and the main thing that he summons are tons of different spiders, and he can shoot silk and all of this stuff. And the weirdest thing is that like he actually makes an entire bow out of fully condensed webs, and then he makes it out of like a thickened, like tied up cable string that like he can't physically pull back unless if he like pulls it back with like multiple of his arms just to fire the bow. And that to me, I was immediately sold, and I was like, if I ever make a game and any kind of spider powers are in it, that needs to be an ability.
And you did.
And I did. And I
And
definitely
Sam
did
ended
it.
up using it. Sam ended up using it. That character that you did. What was it? Oh God, what was the what was the spider character that you had in the 8th season?
my
Zinzarina.
Zinzarina, yeah.
Yeah. Where I made a paladin of the spider goddess who had that power, and she had many gimmicks, but like I think one of her gimmicks was she made weapons out of her webs to use as. No, she didn't. She never actually used that because she just punched people. She used it once.
She got the spider strength as well, and just was in constant hybrid mode, and was just like, you know.
I think she used it once or twice as a bow and arrow against range enemies. Mostly because like there were times when she couldn't actually punch people because they were made of electricity or other such like things, so she had to use that.
They were far away, and what do I do? You know, I can't punch them when they're far away. I know, I'll shoot webbing at them.
Yep.
Okay, so one particular thing that I absolutely love about this is the fact that we've spoken about all the 3 different possibilities. There obviously are a couple of different combinations here, there, and everywhere. But one particular thing that always stands out to me with these races, with these powers, with these specifications, however you want to categorize these, this power is always seen as relatively creepy or unique or both. And there's a ton of different ways that people can use it. Like, obviously, the whole urticating hairs thing, you could stick it to someone's face and rip their skin off. With the ability to shoot webs, you could use it as, again, forms of clothing instead of just... or forms of weaponry or whatever, instead of just swinging on them like, anything but anyone, nobody's business, like as if you're like the modern Tarzan of superheroes. Or like you have the ability of super strength and you basically use it to, I don't know, only specifically carry stuff, or even particular like hang things upside down just to make a point of something, or even just start bench pressing stuff that is way bigger than your physical body. However you want to particularly use these powers, there are obviously a ton of other different uses for them that we obviously don't know, or we haven't seen yet, or we have seen many, and obviously I'm just trying to keep a certain person quiet so that they don't go on a rampage. But I actually wanted to ask the both of you for one particular piece of information, which was, if you guys were to choose... out of all of the different functions of the powers, which do you think is one that you'd actually definitely not have under any of these abilities? Like, say for instance, like in a comic, or if you were to say like in a show or a game or anything, like if you were to say, oh, there's a ton of different ways that you could use these powers. Say for instance, this person is like the ultimate Spider-Man, and they can have every power, turning into a spider, turning into a man spider, having every single possible special Spider-Man-like spider power ever. What is the one ability that you've seen or you can think of that is anything to do with spiders, in real life or in the fictional worlds of the different comics of spiders that you've seen? What is the one specific ability that you would definitely be like, no, and the definite ability that you would be like, absolutely, I would want to add this?
Okay, I know one for a fact, not because it's not cool and not because it has no applications, but I personally find it gross. Like the spider's ability to like dissolve, the insides of their prey. like with this. And we do have this in the game as well. We have like a poisonous bite with a poisonous spider, but I'd be so icked out by that. I would say no, we're not doing that. We're not having the organ dissolving. We're not having the corrosive ability. I mean, that would be totally different in like the game because corrosion is like we've already discussed. It's really OP, and it's really handy. But me personally, I'm like, I don't want to see that. I think, and also it would just, it would just cause too many problems. I think narratively. I mean, it's not so cool. What's cool is like having a great big spider battle fight, a la the Sam Raimi movies. What's not cool is biting someone and having them slowly dissolve in your mouth. That's that's a different movie. That's not. I don't want to see that.
Okay.
One I would have would be, mostly because it actually is a bad thing that spiders do have, would be their water-based movement system, if you know what I mean. Because spiders need to have an amount of water in them to move their limbs. Which is why whenever you see a spider and they're dead, it's not they're actually dead sometimes. They're just, the way they curl up into nothingness? Can't curl up.
Yeah.
It's because they don't have water in their body at that point.
And they're dehydrating and they're crisping up.
Yeah. That's why they're like they curl up, because they need water to actually flex their limbs.
I did not know that. That's
yeah. Like one. I have learned a lot about them. Like their ability to jump. Oh, actually, that they even jump like we would jump. The way how humans jump.
Mm.
It's more or less that they very quickly remove all the water from their legs and then very quickly push it back in. So more or less, it's like they just like this.
Can you imagine a human doing that though? Like, I agree with you, Sam. I don't want to see Spider-Man do that when jumping from wall to wall. Just like crumple up, like, and then.
The one I don't want to see is just like Spider-Man, just like after a day's work, just very slowly curling up and not being done with water. Just quick, Mary Jane, get me the water flask.
I'd actually like to see.
He just drinks and then you see him like slowly begin to uncurl. I've got it back.
You know what? I'd actually like to see that in a TV show similar to that of like I don't know, like some kind of like mass TV show where it's like he's constantly having to like drink water or constantly having to like have some kind of hydration pills or something, because otherwise like you actually see like parts of his body are starting to dry up and like you can see his veins and his muscles like contorting and it's like it's hard, suddenly his hands are just gripping and he's like again with his stupid human strength he could just be like, I'm just gonna pick this up for you, don't worry, and suddenly just smashes a glass in his hand. It's like, are you okay? Oh my gosh, your hand is seizing. Yeah, it does that. And then the other hand does it too. It's like, could you get me some water, please?
Get the hose! Mary Jane, can you get the hose?
Hurry up, please. Please just spray me with it.
I should say, it's only constant moisture like that. But if they don't get it, they will begin to do that.
Actually, that's really sad, because I've seen a lot of spiders like that. I didn't realise it was dehydration. I could have saved them. I thought they were dead. I just put them like outside or in the bin, and it was like, oh no.
Sometimes they are dead. Usually if they're that dehydrated, they probably have died. But they all do get up. Yeah, see, every day is a school day, people. Now you know.
Alright, let's do ones that, to get those images out of my head, let's do ones that we definitely would want.
Yes.
So just real quick, so based on what we've just said, I actually would like to have that one that you've said that you wouldn't want, but only as a weakness if it was in a TV show that would show up every now and again, or maybe show up in a film, like just as a one-shot thing. That'd be kind of funny.
We need to make this an anime now. Just like it's like instead of Spider-Man, like Arachna Kid or something, and that's his one weakness. Every so few episodes.
One power that I would actually get rid of, if say for instance this character was like the Omega Spider person, they had every possible ability, and eventually they will unlock every possible ability from the powers of any and all spiders of the multiverse, and blah blah blah. Like that was like the kind of special ability. Like you will have any and. This is sounding more and more like some kind of weird, like, either isekai or some kind of, like, weird sort of, like, God of High School style thing where it's like, you will be given one power. Okay, I will have power of spider. And it's the only power that they have left, and everyone's like, that's gonna suck. He's gonna have the worst power ever. You are given the power of spider token. You have now and will forever be the person who holds all powers of the power of spider. And everyone's like, that's so dumb. And then it turns out he keeps discovering new abilities that he doesn't know exist in spiders, and he just starts reading up on encyclopedias. That's his training arc, by the way. He just reads up and goes like, oh wow, I didn't know they could do this, and then eventually discovers all this stuff, and it's like, eventually he just has like 3 water bottles like on his back, and it's like, yeah, I need to keep hydrated, and then eventually he's just like unfucking stoppable. The one power I take away from that is the ability to turn into multiple spiders. That's the only power I take away. Yeah. No, here's why. It kind of doesn't really make sense. The ability to like make his own spider minions, turn into a spider, turn into a half-human spider, grant himself all sorts of different types of spider abilities despite keeping his physiological human-looking form. That's fine, but turning into multiple spiders, I don't know. There's just something. I don't know. I don't necessarily like it for that concept.
I must say, it does seem a bit difficult. Yeah, it's sort
I
of
never
like
liked that one, to be fair. Like turning into a swarm of bats.
Oh no, I love that. I would
so
definitely
cool.
disagree.
Turning into a bat or into some mist or blood or whatever, that's cool. But a swarm of bats.
I mean, it does. I mean, okay, it doesn't exactly make sense with the other powers, but I still think that that's really cool and really handy. Like, I would absolutely do that because if they, I mean, it would totally depend on like how it works, because with spiders, you know, like I am all of the spiders. That is my entire body. So like, you know, I can possibly like, you know, spread myself out so there's at least a part of me that's safe.
I will say this one, and I think if you hear this one, you'll probably see why I said no turning into multiple spiders. This is, in my opinion, if we all made this show together, this is how it would go. No ability to turn into multiple spiders. However, he has the ability to telepathically communicate with and control any and all types of arachnids.
Hmm.
I mean, I should say,
no matter what shape and size.
I should say, I think his clone has that power.
I mean, I think Sam would love that power because he'd use that power to get all the spiders to stay away from him and explain to them why they can't stay.
If I could speak to any animal, it would definitely be spiders.
Please go away. Leave me alone.
Like, it is a very unique hatred and fear that I have for them, but to be fair, I want to point this out. I don't hate them, because the main things I hate are wasps and hornets. Because, look, a spider will be in your house because he's just chilling there and he just wants meals. And his meals end up being the things that I don't want in my house most of the time. But they're creepy and they scare me and they always seem to crawl on me all the time and it freaks me the hell out, and I wish that I wasn't so afraid of them all the time, but I am. But honestly, if I had the ability to make all of one species die, it would just be wasp. I love bees. Wasp be gone.
I'm not going to resurrect the wasp discourse of my other podcast, because we had a whole discourse about wasps, because I am very much a wasp, you know, not an apologist, but I do defend their corner.
What do they do? They do nothing. Sorry, no, we're getting into this now.
No. It's that, well, they help create wine because they killed certain parasites on grapes.
Sam,
and stuff.
what power would you want to add or keep?
You'd say we're not getting into wasps whenever there's perfectly good Spider-Man to talk
about.
True.
Exactly.
Perfectly
Go on,
good. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what is the coolest Spider-Man power that I know of.
That you would be like, absolutely, I want to keep on the board.
I mean, probably talking to spiders. Yeah, I would have to agree with you.
Yeah.
But beyond that, maybe there is one like the What If universes where Spider-Man kind of goes bad and becomes an assassin. He manages to own his spider sense to the point that he can tell, like, just the people are thinking about not liking him, doing bad things to him.
Damn.
Like no, pretty much like he owns his spider sense to like like incredible levels. Like that's one of the things he does
Like
that.
a
So you can just,
paranoia sense or something like that.
yeah, no, but not paranoia because he knows it's true.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean though. Like it, yeah.
Like I would quite like that because it means that I could tell if people are thinking bad thoughts about me, as opposed to kind of already thinking that.
Fair enough.
I would know for certain.
I know it because my power told me so. What about you, Alex? What power
well,
would you
it's
definitely get?
gotta be. I mean, not just like the wall crawling, but like the whole, the actual spider thing of being able to crawl on walls, and go really quickly, like being able to like shift around and jump. Like even the really gross method of like inflating and deflating your like hydraulic legs. That's still really cool. As gross as that would be in a real human, that would still be very cool. And if I had the option to get it, I would get it. If that was like my only choice, I would like, yeah, the ability to jump from building to building safely, and yeah, and with great ease. Yeah,
Okay.
hell yeah. I would.
Can I say one? Can I say one last kind of thing about that about jumping spiders?
Go
Because
on.
this part is kind of cool. Believe it or not, they actually shoot a web before they jump.
Oh, so it's
So-
a
so-
safety line.
Yeah. So if more or less if they miss like their target, they can just peel themselves back. It's almost like a fishing net, kind of.
See, that's
that-
cool.
Fishing.
Actually-
That is actually
I mean-
pretty cool.
I should
That
say
is cool.
spiders. I should say there are spiders that actually do fish like that.
Mm-mm.
That was one of the cool things about spiders is that their hairs.
Mm-hmm.
Their hairs actually stop them from drowning
Yes.
because their hairs
Allow
absorb.
them to float on the surface.
No,
of
it's
water
not
sometimes.
float. It actually holds oxygen against them.
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they can actually go underwater for some amount of time. And I think it has to be clear water. I think if it's like some to a surface tension, I know soapy water. I know soapy water like screws them over that. But if I'm like oxygen like stays to their like against them because of their hairs, they can float, but they can also go underwater and have oxygen for like
Okay,
a certain
that
amount of time.
I changed my answer. I want that. I would very much
mean-
love that.
You have to be covered in hair though, Alex. Like fully covered. You
That
also
might
have to
be
be
a
able to. You also have to be able to breathe through.
If
You
you could
also have to be able
extend
to
or
breathe.
if you could extend or retract it, I think that would be the perfect defense
I mean-
mechanism. You're about to be flung into water. Hair extend, and just like little tiny urticanting hairs just flick out of you, and then you just catch
Also have
little
to-
bubbles of oxygen.
I think you'd also have to be able to breathe through your skin, which I don't think, which humans can't do.
Well, according to according to the creator of Metal Gear Solid, you can breathe through your skin. So
No. According to Metal Gear Solid, that specific character can breathe through her skin because she's. I'm not going to get into this, but all I am going to say is she's genetically engineered. We'll do that.
sure. It's not like
Plant
I mean, hell, if it
girl.
works for that, if it, and that's why she has to wear a bikini all the time. Moving
That
on.
is actually why they say. I'm not going to get
so
into it any
stupid.
further, but it is very stupid. I've played through most of that game. I very much enjoy it, but that is the one thing I'm like, I know why you've done it, and I get how you've gone around it. Well done, Kojima, but still at the same time,
Stupid.
I just want to see like someone do the exact same thing, but instead it's just a dude who just has to wear a speedo because he's breathing through his skin.
I mean, yeah, they literally have a character that, like, has sort of the same condition, but he wears, like, a suit of leaves and stuff so he can photosynthesize. So it's like, why isn't he in a bikini? Show us him in a bikini!
I mean, he
Isn't
was like
90 years
I
old or
understand
something.
he was
Show him in
100
the
years
bikini!
old. He was like
Yeah.
100 years old.
The One,
Do it!
that's his name, isn't it? His name is The One, or The End.
Do
that's
it, you cowards!
Yeah, no,
I want to see his
Yeah.
Bajinga.
I mean, it would have been Stick Eater so much better if he did that. 0 stars, Kojima. 0 stars.
Anyway, moving on very
Yeah.
swiftly before we upset the great and powerful Hideo Kojima. I don't know why you're watching this, but if you are watching this, definitely give me a call because I've got some ideas for spiders. The last thing that I'll probably say about this, because that we are coming to an end, and I know that Sam, you very much love this, is are you guys looking forward to the film, and what do you let's hear one thing from each of you. what do you think that will be in it, or what do what are you looking forward to most? So we'll go to Sam first.
I mean, what do you think will be in it, or which one?
The new movie that would the trailer's just dropped for. No,
I know
from
that. What I think will be in it is probably going to be the Sinister Six, but it's going to be a mashup of all of the multiversal,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen, because I know Jamie Foxx is going to be in it as Electro.
Yeah.
They talked about that. So what I'm assuming is it's going to be like the Sinister Six. So there's going to be Doc Ock, him, probably Vulture, and a Green Goblin. So it's 4. So there's probably 2 others.
You know what?
I
reckon Scorpion. What if they have 2 from each film ones? What if they have 2 from Tobey Maguire, 2 from Andrew Garfield, 2 from Tom
You only
Holland?
had like the Lizard.
No, you had the Lizard and
don't care about
Electro.
Electro.
Yeah.
Don't care about him. Those were rubbish films.
Yeah, that is true.
You'll anger them.
No,
Well,
but let's be honest.
villains-
Does anyone think Amazing Spider-Man were good?
Does
Okay,
anyone think that
fast
Amazing
forward.
Spider-Man was
Comics.
quote unquote amazing? Anyway, sorry, Alex.
No.
What do you personally feel
I mean,
is going to
I
be?
don't know. I mean, that would be cool if they do it. Actually, if it's like the Sinister Six, but like they're all from different universes, that would be genuinely clever and like a good way of doing it. I'm sort of like slowed down a lot on superhero movies in general. Although I have seen like apart from the Amazing Spider-Mans, I've seen all of them in the cinema. And I do like the new Spider-Man movies. So I'm like, yeah, I probably will see it, but I've kind of already seen Into the Multiverse, and I'm like, are they trying, because they're doing another multiverse thing, and I'm like, is this going to be like just as good as that? Is it going to be a different thing around
canon.
Yeah.
I should say they're also doing a second of that, so they are.
I know, so it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, maybe there's like quite a lot. I mean, it's ironic, really, because it's a multiverse of multiverse movies. So it's like, it's so many different Spider-Mans, and it's like,
I'll say this, and I'll say this now. I love what they're doing with it. I am looking forward to what they're going to do with it, and I personally think that one thing that we are going to see from it is either 2 villains from each one to create the Sinister Six, and this was actually not something that was bouncing off of Sam's idea. I genuinely think that we're possibly going to see something similar to, I think it's like One More Day or something, which is basically that.
No.
I think it's going to be that he has to give up Mary Jane, and anything and everyone else. At the end, I think it's going to be that he has to let her go. I don't think she'll die, but I think it will be that he has to let her go, and he has to sort of like either start the relationship all over again, or he basically has to let her go, and then maybe as he matures a few years older, he then meets up with her again, and it starts all over again.
Oh my god, it would be, if they've messed with the multiverse so much and she actually turns into a white redhead, my brain will hemorrhage. That would be the ultimate fuck you to everything. Like, I would be like, oh my god.
Alex, could you start that sentence again, but start it with, as a liberal.
As a liberal.
As a liberal, I will hemorrhage.
It would be great, actually, if it turns out like the next time he sees her, it is like Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
they screwed like they screwed that much. Like, it's just Kirsten Dunst in like her 40s.
I mean, on one hand, that would be amazing, but on the second hand, no. I don't. It's like
at the end, of course. That would be hilarious.
I love this for many reasons, and I think we could talk about this all day and every day. And quite frankly, I love that you guys have spoken so much about this, and I'm talking to you guys about this. However, we have come to the end of another podcast. Thank you very much for watching. We're sorry if you didn't want to hear anything about the Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way From Home, and we're very sorry if you didn't want to hear about Spider Physiology. But just as Sam and I had to, you'll have to power through and hope that we don't get squished. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for tuning in, and again, thank you very much for watching any of our previous or future content. As Sam would say,
Excelsior!
Well, I was going to say see you in the future, but fair enough. Thank you very much, and good night.
Bye.
So long, true believer.
Ciao, ciao, for now.